Now, with the Game Week 15 deadline less than 48 hours away, I've asked my FPL experts for their top transfer recommendations, so let's go and dive into some of their suggestions for this game week. Now, as always, before we dive into any video, of course, if you enjoy the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 11,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it is only possible with your guys' amazing support. Now, first up, let's talk about Bryan Mbeumo, and for me personally and my experts, he's probably one of those players that needs to be replaced in the next few weeks. Difficult fixtures coming up for Brentford, and of course a real drop-off, not only in terms of his goal involvement, but also his underlying data as well. It's been pretty disappointing over the past few weeks for Big Bryan, in potentially a little bit of a change of system for the Brentford model that obviously has led to him having kind of a little bit less output, and that's not really what we want from an FPL perspective. So people, of course, are looking elsewhere, and my experts have recommended two players. Obviously, I spoke about Jarrod Bowen in yesterday's transfer targets video. If you want to go and check that out, it is available on the channel. Plenty of good stuff in that one as always. But yeah, Jarrod Bowen, I do still believe there is time to, of course, hop onto him. My only concern with it is maybe if Gary O'Neill is still in his job come Monday. Obviously, that game is being played on Monday, so potentially what we could have in that game is a new manager off, because it's looking like Graham Potter might potentially be taking over the job from Lopetegui. But again, we're going to have to wait and see on that one. I think having Jarrod Bowen with a new manager bounce could be absolutely sensational as well. Decent fixtures for the next four as well coming up. And I do really, like I've said in most videos, have a soft spot for Jarrod Bowen. I think the people that went for him for the Leicester game are super unfortunate. The amount of opportunities he created was unbelievable. He definitely should have come away with at least one attacking return in that game. So if you did go for him, I would keep the patience for the next few. He's definitely a good pickup for me personally. Obviously, you know, going into this game week, we were concerned about his underlying data and the lack of it, and I said at the start of that, I think fixtures will breed that data, and I think the first Leicester game here has proven that point. Wolves are absolutely abysmal at the back. You can't be getting beat 4-0 by Everton. That's a pretty shocking result. Brighton as well have started the season well, but defensively still leaving a lot to be desired. So, you know, there are a decent set of fixtures coming up for, of course, Jarrod Bowen, and like I said, new manager potentially could have a different role for him. Graham Potter obviously a more possession-based manager. Whether or not that's going to suit Jarrod Bowen's style, I'm not 100% sure, but could be, you know, one of the main benefactors, of course, of a new manager, because under Lopetegui, his data and his overall creativity has been disappointing compared to previous seasons within FPL and in terms of Premier League football. One player that was recommended by my FPL experts that has completely gone under the radar, I've not really seen many people talk about this guy, of course it is going to be Anthony Gordon. The next few fixtures for Newcastle are delicious. Like, there's no getting around. That is probably some of the best fixtures you could have for an attacker. Brentford away, again, down there for XG conceded. Leicester, another one of those teams. And Ipswich, the second worst defence in the league. Obviously, Southampton taking that mantle now, but still pretty all terrible defences as well. And Newcastle, I think they showed some really good attacking intent. Obviously got it back. Obviously Isak's back as well, which I do think makes Anthony Gordon a much better option. And compared to the likes of Bowen and Mitoma, which are kind of being regarded as some of the best picks for Bryan Mbeumo to be replaced with, this guy's got better underlying data per 90. He's averaging 0.6 expected goal involvement per 90. I believe Bowen is at 0.47 and Mitoma is around 0.48. So he's actually doing better per 90 than both of these guys. However, the one thing that, of course, he does miss out on is those 90-minute matches. If you look at his past few weeks, it's kind of like 60 to 80 minutes is kind of Anthony Gordon's mark, whereas compared to Bowen and Mitoma, especially this season under the new manager, they have been pretty much playing consistent 90-minute games every single week. So, you know, Gordon's data is looking slightly better, and I would argue that his fixtures are the best coming up for the next three. However, I would just say that with it still being a busy festive period, plenty of games coming thick and fast, he might only see 60 to 70 minutes, which probably, you know, when you are paying a little bit more of a premium price at 7.2 million, might potentially put you off him. But I do think he still could be one of those underrated picks, and maybe a little bit of a hidden gem that my FPL experts have found for the next few game weeks. Right, let's move on then. Let's take a look at premium defenders, because we had quite a few of these recommended in. Obviously, I'm personally looking at a premium defender this week as well. I do feel like the ones that we've got on this list, especially the top 5, defensively, Liverpool and Arsenal have been absolutely sensational this season, haven't they? I think the Liverpool game against Newcastle, a little bit of a blip. They conceded 2 XG. I believe that's the highest they've actually conceded so far this season. Every other game, they've been pretty much rock solid. Arsenal as well have been very, very sturdy over the past few weeks. Underlying data as well is stupendous. And obviously we covered in yesterday's video the 11ify data, looking at the projected clean sheets. Liverpool and City and Arsenal, all of these 3 teams on list where the players are from, of course, all fancied for high projections over the next 5 to 6 game weeks as well. So let's start off first with the 2 Liverpool players. Now, for me personally, I would be doing absolutely everything in my power if I had to choose between the 2 to go and get Trent. I would be looking to try and find that extra 0.5 million for me personally. As we can see, the underlying data is the main benefactor for that. Obviously, Trent is putting up 0.36 expected goal involvement per 90, which is an absolute joke, to be honest, for a defender. He's actually beaten quite a lot of midfielders. Obviously, we're talking about Bowen and Matoma in the last section. They're only around 0.47, 0.48. So there's not too much of a big discrepancy between a defender playing for arguably one of the best defences in the league this season, so has that bonus of clean sheets, and attacking returns as well. It's starting to feel like maybe we just downgrade Brian to potentially a Rodgers, a Semenyo, one of these picks, and actually utilise this money to potentially go and look to bring in somebody like a Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's the way I'm starting to lean towards, and I think a few of my experts are as well. I think Virgil van Dijk is a decent pickup, obviously a lot more secure with his minutes. We did see a benching for Trent, but he is just coming back from an injury. I do believe that he'll probably miss out on the Champions League tie midweek next week, so I think that's probably where he'll get his break. I imagine he'll start at the weekend as well, especially with Liverpool dropping points in midweek against Newcastle. But like I said, Virgil's going to be the more secure one in minutes, but as we can see here, the worst underlying data per 90 on this list compared to every other defender, and I do think that probably just makes him not worth an option, especially with Konate now out injured. It does look like Joe Gomez is going to be playing there, so you might as well just go and pick Joe Gomez up for 4.8 million, sorry. So that seems like a more worthwhile move if you want to just bring in a Liverpool defender. Go for Joe Gomez rather than Virgil van Dijk for me. There doesn't really seem to be too much attacking threat from Virgil that would make me want to potentially go for him. Let's move on then. Let's take a look at the Arsenal defenders. I am just going to start this off by saying Gabriel, of course, missed the midweek game. He is still flagged, and Arteta said that obviously it was because of the West Ham injury, and you know they're hopeful that he'll be back for Sunday. But again, we never want to believe Mikel Arteta and his mysterious lies. But both Saliba and Timber were on the score sheet in midweek. And you know what? Arsenal, they're set-piece merchants this season, aren't they? Their set-piece coach must be taking home a fat bonus every time they score a goal, because my goodness me, they are scoring quite a bit. And as you can see, all the defenders here have got okay-ish underlying data to say they're pretty much like, you know, don't really bomb forward too much and stuff like that. We're also seeing the expected goals conceded per 90 as well, pretty decent, pretty close to Liverpool as well. Again, there's not too much to kind of split between the two as well. So, you know, all very, very good options. Of course, if we get the nod from Arteta, but I doubt we're going to get the nod, that Gabriel is fully fit and available, he, for me, would be the #1 target. Of course, he is the main threat from those set pieces. And, you know, I'm somebody that would usually say, oh, the set piece goals will die off. He's probably not going to get any more goal involvements. But the way Arsenal are attacking these set pieces at the moment, the system that they've got in place, I do think they'll get figured out eventually and someone will learn to stop them. But at the moment, it's a little bit broken. They're about to go on an absolutely terrific run where you could hold these defenders for a very, very long time. You could probably hold some of these all the way up until the end of the season, realistically. Like I said, the 11ify data over the next 5 to 6 game weeks is also looking really, really good from a defensive standpoint. So like I said, Gabriel's going to be my top one. I would then probably say I would prefer Timber, then probably Saliba in that order. But let me know which way you would potentially be swinging on that one down in the comment section. And then finally finishing up, it is going to be Gvardiol. The reason I've put him in here, I watched the Match of the Day highlights for the City game yesterday. My God, this guy had 2 massive chances. And I was like, Okay. And he's done it quite a few games I've watched him this season. I think he's really, really unfortunate to only have 3 goal involvements so far. Of course, as we can see here, the second best XGI per 90. His role in that City system at the moment is very attacking. Let's put it that way. From an eye test perspective, he looks absolutely ridiculous. And one of those players where I'm like, I fear not owning you. And with City's run coming up, I would say the next 3 are a little bit difficult. Obviously, I don't think Manchester United are really a test, but you never know with a derby game. Same with Villa at the moment. They're a little bit indifferent in terms of their form, and I don't really know how to call them. So I think maybe post game week 17, maybe around game week 18, maybe Gvardiol might be potentially somewhere where we look at, because, like I said, if he continues to get into these positions, continues to get the big chances that he is doing, then my God, he could be an absolutely explosive asset. The only problem is Manchester City still look wobbly at the back, and as you can see, the expected goals conceded per 90 are very, very difficult. And also, if we look at XG conceded overall, they're not even one of the top teams this season. It is Liverpool and it is Arsenal that are leading the way that way. City are kind of in a pack of sort of like mid-table-y kind of sides, you know, nothing really kind of exceptional defensively this season. So for me personally, I think maybe Gvardiol might be a little bit of a hold, maybe look around game week 18, whereas I think Trent and Gabriel probably would be looking to bring those up in this week. And yeah, I'm really in agreement with the experts on that one. Like I said, Saliba, Verge, probably not worth it. Timber's a nice cheaper way into that Arsenal back line, and I do like that one. But yeah, Verge and Saliba, probably not worth it. It is going to be the likes of Gabriel, Trent and Gvardiol for me personally. Right, the final 2 players we're going to talk about yet to play at the time of me recording this video. They do play tonight. I am filming this on Thursday afternoon. It is Semenyo and it is Evanilson. Obviously, I've been taking a look at the Bournemouth fixture run coming up, and it is terrific. Genuinely really, really good, and definitely a team that have been massively improved. Obviously, if you know, I'm quite use the 11ify data. I couldn't get my words out there. Use the 11ify data quite a lot, and obviously I read a lot of their posts. I pay towards their website and all the maintenance because it's a really, really good system, and you should fully go and check it out. Like I said, link in the description to that as always with all my videos. It's amazing service. And one of the teams that has been highlighted as, you know, a really improved side this year has been Bournemouth. And I've been exceptionally impressed with their performances. I think people are forgetting that they beat Arsenal and they've beat Manchester City so far this season as well. Now, obviously, the Arsenal game had its certain circumstances, and whether or not if Saliba wasn't sent off, then maybe, you know, it might be a different story. But that's the way it's currently panning out. And like I said, they've got some great fixtures coming up. Ipswich, West Ham, if Lopetegui is still in the job, look absolutely woeful. Or they might have potentially a new manager in. But again, that's still going to take time. I'm not overly convinced by Manchester United yet. I think they probably need a couple more transfer windows to look like a more assured side under Almiron. But that Ipswich fixture is definitely going to be one of those appealing ones for the attackers. Like I said, obviously a lot of people might be looking to shift a little bit of money, maybe to go and get somebody like a Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Semenyo or Rodgers could be that nice cheap midfielder that you do go and pick up within the midfield brackets. Obviously now he has served his suspension as well, and I think that'll probably mean that he's probably going to get benched less over the busy festive period. He's had a full 90 off, not really even had to prepare for the match day or anything like that because he has been suspended. So yeah, I think it's one of those where he should see decent minutes. Evanilson as well, I've been really, really keen on this guy. A lot of like my friends and my dad have actually bought this guy in over the past few weeks, and of course have enjoyed what he's had to offer. Really, really good underlying data as well. It is such a shame that he missed that penalty early on in the season, because if this guy had had penalties as well, my goodness me, he would have been absolutely flying, and I definitely think he would have been in a lot more people's teams and in a lot more conversations going into game week 15. But yeah, definitely a really interesting one. Of course, maybe if you're like me, you've got Visser, maybe you've still got DCL kicking about and people like that, or you are just looking for a cheap replacement within the forward line. I do believe Evanilson could be an absolutely fantastic pickup for the next few fixtures. Of course, that was my FPL Experts series, and obviously if you want to get involved, make sure you're following me on Twitter as always. Like I said, plenty more content coming out over the next few days. Of course, we'll be live for the deadline stream as always. So if you are new around here, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button with bell notifications on, so you will be notified when I do go live. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in Game Week 15.